Okay, almost done. So just setting up the Zoom to YouTube live link, and let me just hit this setting done. Okay. All right, so we are live on YouTube as well. All good. So let's welcome everyone to our business roundtable. Today is May 10th. We are on Zoom. I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. Joining us today is Dr. Verlaine Crawford, an international best-selling author of 4 books, soon to be releasing 5th book, and we're going to talk about that. She's an amazing keynote speaker, a life and business coach as well, and she has been, in terms of helping us, to be on this roundtable this morning. So thank you, Dr. Crawford, for still, staying with us despite some of the circumstances we talked earlier. Quite appreciative of you joining us. And what I would like to do is organize this roundtable around a few questions that I'll ask of you. And but before I do that, Dr. Crawford, would you like to share a quick message about you and your background, where you grew up, and hopefully maybe share with us your, what was the passion behind, and the thought process behind writing some of the books that you have written, and also who are these books most useful for? So if we can start there, and then I'll ask you some of the pertinent questions for today's roundtable.
Okay. Well, it's a long story, so I'll try and make it short. I was born in San Francisco, and my family moved to Iowa, where I had a very idyllic childhood. It was beautiful. We were along the Mississippi River, and there was 40 acres of forest behind us. And so we got to play in that area and just absorb nature, which was wonderful. And then everything kind of stopped when I had an accident. I was mowing the grass with my brother was mowing, and my father. It was like a half an acre of land. And I was going up a hillside, and I turned around and stepped into my brother's mower. And I cut the top of my left foot and cut off my little toe on my right foot. And so I was laid up for a year, and 5 weeks in the hospital, and 3 weeks and skin grafting and all that. And it was very traumatic for the family. And my dad left a year later because my mom blamed him for the accident. It was a very sad situation. So we moved, Mom and my brother and I moved to, after they had gotten a divorce, we moved to California, and ended up in the Bay Area. And then some friends invited us to Carmel, California, along the coast, and this beautiful little English village. And we were able to move there, rent an apartment, and went to high school there. And it was, again, incredibly lovely. And it was very healing for me to be in that environment and have that ability to learn so much. And in high school, I thought I wanted to be an astronomer.
Right.
Because I loved studying the cosmos and just the whole theory behind it all. I've always been interested in the bigger picture. And so I got to be a representative to UC Berkeley for the Model United Nations, and I represented Uruguay. And I came up with this idea of mobile educational units. And I found out that I could sell it, that I was okay with people, that I would, be able to present an idea. And so I decided to not be an astronomer and study international relations. I came back down to earth. And so that was really interesting. I went to Berkeley and then studied also at UCLA. And later at Stanford, I went to some seminars with high-tech people when I got into that industry. So anyway, my whole background basically was around marketing. And so it allowed me, with my curiosity and interest in a lot of things, to worked for a variety of companies, just huge number of different companies, from art to design to architecture to hospitality and healthcare and high tech. And I ended up in the 80s as the first woman vice president of a high tech company. And I really didn't know anything about computers, but I knew how to market. So I learned what they were doing. And then I sold that company to a company in England. And then I went to a second company and I got them in at AT&T. So anyway, that was very, very fascinating. So as all this was going on, what had happened when I was 22 is I met a man who told me to make a list of the things I wanted and the date by which I would happen. And I didn't know this man. It was like I met him in an elevator. So anyway, He told me about this, and then he handed me a book, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And I started making a list, and everything happened by the date that I put down there. And so that became a major part of my life, realizing and thinking that we can create our reality. And then I would tell everybody, make a list, make a list. And what I found, studying it, is that it didn't always happen. It didn't always happen for me. I had like beginner's luck, right? So anyway, that was my quest. Why doesn't it always happen? Why does it sometimes happen? And they may have heard about the law of attraction, and that the vibrational frequency we have makes a difference. Anyway, I went to an NLP workshop and found out the answer. And the answer was that we have within us many subpersonalities. So is that enough for me to talk, and you want to say another thing, or shall I?
No, I think I have a few more questions before I let you go on that, because that's an important topic for today, for sure. But I wanted to also share this quote from none other than Confucius, and it's kind of relevant for our roundtable today and the fireside chat. It says, when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. So I think in some sense, it is something that a lot of us, you mentioned creating a list and following that, but many times what's on that list is important, and then the predictability and I would say the possibility of being able to achieve that within a given time, right? So I think, and I'm sure we're going to discuss more of that, in the roundtable later on. What I also want to do is introduce our couple of folks who are here joining us. Piyush Malik, who is out of Bay Area, and Piyush is the president of ASEI, which is American Society of Engineers of Indian origin. Is a tremendous. He himself is an inspiring speaker, as well as a businessman out in Bay Area, who has had experience at IBM for many years. Piyush, go ahead and introduce yourself, Piyush.
Hey, Sanjay. Sorry, I was not prepared to speak today, so I'm not camera ready.
That's okay.
But good to meet you, Dr. Crawford and Clifford. And again, this is a very interesting topic. Just to introduce myself, yes, as Sanjay said, I've been in the technology and business sector for the last 30 plus years. Big Four management consultant, big tech exec, and now help startups. And I'm involved as a chief digital officer for Veridic Solutions. And I'm also involved with a couple of accelerators. And American Society of Engineers of Indian Origin is a passion project that I've been involved with for the last 10 plus years. And we have a Bay Area chapter, we have a SoCal chapter that Sanjay leads. And we have tremendous focus on youth empowerment and creating opportunities for youth for internships and for giving them scholarships and awards and so on and so forth. So we have our national convention coming up in September. So we are all looking forward to that. But more than that, it's how we bring the community together, how we focus STEM education and spread that to underprivileged, because even though the name says American Society of Engineers of Indian origin, we have done programs for Hispanics. We have done programs for inclusivity, for bringing everybody together. So from that perspective, we are very, very open, and we look forward to more conversations on this call. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful,
That's
wonderful.
great, Piyush. Thanks for joining us, and look forward to your engagement here as well as off the roundtable as well. Clifford has joined us as well. Clifford Wright. Clifford and I've known here in Orange County for many years now, and currently Clifford is a fund development director at the Piney Woods School. Very interesting. It's based out of Brea, California, and he's again a very community, I would say, leader. He has the organization called the Be Inspired By Team, where he's the outreach director and helps a lot of nonprofits and community organizations locally as well. Clifford, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit and share with us what's going on recently. Clifford, you have to unmute your mic.
Okay, just had to
Yes.
unmute myself. Okay.
No, that's okay.
First of all, I want to just say thank you for inviting me, Sanjay, and nice to meet you, Dr. Crawford and Mr. Malik. I'm always intrigued about, I would just say, divine intervention, meeting people who are in alignment with each other. I talk weird, okay, so when I talk, I'm hoping you guys can understand where I'm coming from. I'm an ordained minister and a speaker and author. My day job, I am a fund development director for the Piney Woods boarding school in Mississippi. And when I met Sanjay, I worked for another organization in Orange County called Vital Link, and we help students find their purpose in life. And so I'm doing similar work with the Piney Woods School. And so I'm just glad to be here. I have a varied background. I started out, I thought I was going to be a famous musician, but that transcended into me doing jingles and voiceovers. You hear this loud voice that I have. My wife always said, "You talk so loud," but I can't help it. Just that's the way my vocal cords are designed. But I've learned that no matter what kind of work that you do, when I worked for the ad agencies, I did presentations for creative commercials and things of that nature. And I developed that skill as well. And so I also have a TV show called Be Inspired Today on Roku, where I interview leaders who bring hope to our audience to hold on to positive expectations. So I've rolled all of those experiences and things into what I'm doing now. So that's what I'm doing. Thank you.
Oh my, wonderful.
Clifford, you're going to be our next speaker very soon, my friend.
We have a powerful audience.
We have a very powerful audience. So formally, I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. I've been oGoing, as I say, for the last, this is our 14th year. I mean, I started designing oGoing back in 2009. So we are a community for small business, for startups. We provide a platform for them to share their stories, to create their business profile, to share their products and services, and ultimately to connect, with like-minded or purpose-driven businesses and business owners, so that they can find ways to collaborate, to partner, hopefully to buy or sell to each other. So it's an open community. We're growing online. You can go to ogoing.com or ogoing.net. That's the ogoing. And we have about 125,000 plus members now. It's homegrown. We are bootstrapped. A lot of sweat and money equity of myself going into it, and our team in India that does a lot of the back end work for oGoing to keep it going. And I invite everybody who is here, a lot of you already know that, but to do join, and I would love to help you if you have any questions or feedback after you join. So again, that's a quick intro on oGoing. So what I want to do is get going with Dr. Crawford today, or she reminded me, call me Verlaine, so I'm going to try to remember that. But Verlaine, you have a tremendous eclectic background in business. You've been all over the world, a lot of countries, including, the likes of Japan and Indonesia. You were in Bali, you were in Australia, you've been to Hong Kong, many places in Europe. A lot of business-driven trips. I'm gathering from your background, and many different venues you have been in: healthcare, high-tech, architecture, which is very interesting, retail, real estate, hospitality, and much more. And what gives? How do you do all this? I mean, you have like multiple threads happening, simultaneously. So give us a little sense of what causes Verlaine to be Verlaine.
Well, I'm very, very curious, and I love learning, and I have a good background in marketing. It's actually quite natural. It isn't that I took a lot of classes in it. I have taken classes, of course, but I can do all the different things that you need to do in marketing. And it's now in AI, which is fascinating. So, and then I wrote my books. The whole idea of why I would be in so many different areas is, as a marketing person, I could move into hospitality. I was director of sales for the Lodge at Pebble Beach, and which was absolutely fabulous. And then the Queen Mary Project, and just a lot of, like Clifford, a lot of PR, advertising, and putting together programs. And so when I got into the computer industry, which at the beginning of the industry of the PC in 1982, the first company I worked with was a PC to mainframe communications package, which seems so amazing that, in this period of time, what we are doing now with the baud width we can use and all the stuff. And there we barely could hook up a PC to any mainframe at that time. And I would do demos, and we'd do demos at Bank of America and Wells Fargo and different places. And it was, anyway, I worked with the Fortune 500, and they were very kind to me.
Awesome.
And even though it didn't always work. So, and then the second company was Syntactics, which had a word processor called Crystal Writer. I actually went there because of the name Crystal Writer.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway, that was, and then just all this variety. But the travel, I did do travel for the computer industry, but the travel, I was asked to go to Japan to teach what I had been doing of opening up to other dimensions, and which is what I call that working with angels kind of thing. And what happened is, when I went to this NLP course, I learned about this integration technique. And the more that I integrated different parts of myself, that's where the subject comes from, the idea of wholeness, where we have balance, when we bring together all these different parts, just like in our communities, our country, our world, inside ourselves, we're very divided. And so the more that I was able to bring together these different parts of myself, the more I was able to connect with higher energy and be able to get more information. So I was able to teach in all those different countries and work with people, and they came to my home. I had developed a retreat center up in Idlewild, which was called High Castle. And that was, it was incredible. They came up there and we walked up the mountain, and it is, everything that has happened to me has been so inspiring, even the bad things. And one bad thing that did happen is when I was with one ad agency in Los Angeles, I went down to the parking garage and I was in a little room with 2 doors and 2 elevators. And I came down the elevator and I started heading toward the other door. I passed a man dressed in a guard uniform who I looked in his eyes and the voice in my head said, run. Now I was getting very used to this kind of voice in my head, the intuition, we call it, or psychic ability, whatever you want to call it. And he said, the voice said, run. I argued, run? Why should I run? It's late. I don't feel like running. And he had his arm around my neck and a knife at my throat and started pushing me toward the other door. And just at that moment, the other elevator opened and 2 men started coming out and they saved me. He stabbed me in the back. My lung collapsed and they pulled me into the elevator.
Oh,
And that developed a whole kind of paranoia over time. I was
Yeah.
afraid to go anywhere. Oh, you have a new person. Michael is, no, that's, yes.
yeah, Michael has joined. Michael, how are you, Michael?
Hey, I'm just I'm in the car between appointments, and I figured, oh, I'll jump into this.
That'll be great. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, we're just having a deep conversation. Word Lane, Dr. Crawford is sharing one of her personal incidents that was a life changer for her. So go ahead, Dr. Crawford.
Yes, I was stabbed in a parking garage, Michael, by a man, an assailant, and my lung had collapsed. 2 men that had saved me pulled me into the elevator and went upstairs and then to the hospital. And it was very interesting. And I think Clifford will appreciate this, that I was laying there in the hospital. They, when you go to the hospital and you've got a collapsed lung, they then stab you in the chest.
Yeah.
To inflate your lung. So I was very traumatized. And after a couple of days, the son of the advertising agency's owner, who was about, I don't know, 25 or something, he came to visit. And I was laying flat at that time, or slightly, so I couldn't see him very well. So he was off on the side of the room, and he said, you'll have to forgive him. And I went, real
What?
what? And he said, at some time, you'll have to forgive him and let this go. And it did happen later, but it took a while. And I lived with that upset, and in March, and it happened in August, and in March, the police came in and said, everyone out of the building. Bomb threat, 15th floor, and that was our floor. And I went
Wow.
home, talked to my boyfriend, and I said, I'm leaving, I'm going back to Carmel.
It's time for a change.
This is not good, working in a war zone. No, not my favorite thing. And of course, then what happened is if anyone was behind me, I'd get back against the wall, let them go by and so forth.
Yeah.
Not a good place to be, to feel total fear. But now that I know it, I can certainly understand it in other people.
Sure.
And so what happened is I went to a psychologist, I got feeling better, but not cured, right? Still had a gun by my bed.
Oh boy.
Okay. And I couldn't watch TV, the terrible movies, because my hands would sweat and so forth. So fast forward, 1977, I went to a class of NLP. He chose me to be the person, I'm waving my hand, to be the volunteer. And he did an integration technique, which is what I talked to you about and what we can do a little later, possibly, to have people see what happened.
Sure.
It was like a miracle. I mean, when I've used this technique everywhere I've gone in the world and with myself many, many times. And it is so amazing that I believe that our memories are like crystals. And we hold that memory as a crystal in our brain, okay? Or in our aura, wherever we want to have it. When you do the integration, which is you're finding the advantages of what happened to you, or the advantages of the people in your life that are bothering you, etc., you also have the part of you that is okay anyway, right? But you have the advantages of this part of you that's attacking you, creating problems, stopping you. when you find out the advantages of both, you bring them together, and I think the crystal melts. It is the most amazing thing. And I was able in an hour, like in Japan, and have personal sessions and workshops. And in 1 hour with a translator, these lives would change. It was incredible. So that's one of the things I'm totally excited about. And the reason that I'm pushing it, I started with my first book, Ending the Battle Within. And everywhere I went in the world, if someone would ask me the name of my book, I'd say Ending the Battle Within. They'd stop, they'd shake their head a little bit, and they'd go, I need that. So it was everyone from elevator operators to bank presidents, right? So I said, I think there's something to this.
There's something.
Okay.
No, absolutely. And I know you're about to publish your 5th book, which is happening next month, I believe. And that's kind of the topic for today's roundtable and the fireside chat, the power of wholeness.
Yes.
Manifesting your dream into reality. And what is the wholeness? Is it, I mean, there's so many meanings to that word. I mean, what does it mean to you? And how do we think a little more about that? Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it means being complete, that you're bringing together all these different aspects and opposing beliefs and ideas, and you are feeling in balance, you're feeling synchronized, organized. It's a harmony, certainly an inner harmony. And what the bottom line of all of this is peace of mind and the ability to connect with your intuition, your inner knowing, which is a greater knowing. I believe we came to this planet to constantly be in contact with the spiritual aspect of who we are that would then be guiding us all the time. Now, we know that God gave us free will, but guess what? Free will often gets us in trouble. Well, I'm going to go do this, I'm not going to run, and all these things. So the idea that this fullness, this wisdom from the top of the mountain or from the grandest beings in the universe are here to give us information. It's far beyond artificial intelligence. It's universal intelligence. Okay. Yeah. And that's what I want to convey, not just to adults that need to bring that together after years of accumulating so many beliefs, but also the children. If they knew this from the beginning, right from the beginning, that way they think creates their reality, what a different planet we'd be on, right?
No, it's a fascinating topic. I mean, one of the other quotes is from the Buddha is what you think you become. It's five words. And I think ultimately it's as easy as it sounds, but very difficult in real life, right? Especially when the mind has the ability to think many things at the same time. It's very difficult to control that mind where you have so many ideas, so many thoughts, so many news happening every day. We talked about that earlier, and it's constantly drawn into things, so the focus gets harder and harder, and I'm reading things like the attention span of an average person now, even a youngster, is less than, I think, 8 seconds or something. It's crazy.
Oh dear, we've gone down from 30 seconds, huh?
Yeah, so it's like if you can't inspire them or hit that mark in the first 10 seconds, they're off to something else. So it's very interesting.
This is it. This is giving the free space for us to be able to connect. And if they knew the value of it, and also one of the things I would like to mention is we have 3 levels. We have our instinct, which is our body level, which does all this work by itself, right? It does all the keeping us healthy by itself, right? Then we have our intelligence, that's just bringing, like you say, all this information in, okay? The intelligence is the bridge from instinct to intuition. Okay, so the more that you're able, and that's why meditation, getting your mind quiet and relaxing into your space can make such a huge difference. I have a girlfriend who is a college professor, and she told me a story of what one day in class she said to the students, I want you to go outside and experience nature and just, hug a tree, whatever you're going to do, just be there. And you have to give me your phones.
Yes.
Okay, give me your phones. Do you know that within 5 minutes, in some cases, 15 at the latest, they were begging for their phones at the door? Now that is sad.
Yeah.
They are addicted. I mean, luckily I'm not, because I don't do it all the time like they do, but they're there every second. So where is the space for them to connect to guidance? It's not there.
And nature is, I mean, I love my walks in nature. I think every week I'm almost doing a mini hike or a good hike, and every day I go for a nice walk. And when I'm doing that, I have the phone, but I keep it on airplane mode. I don't touch it. I try to make it a habit. At times it's difficult, right? Because in the midst of something, you want to check what's going on, but you have to really train your mind that this is your time with the nature, your time to be one with this world that we are in. And frankly, when I do that, it does lead to a lot more, as you said, not just the meditative aspect and you feeling one with nature or one with, everything out of it, but it also gives me a sense of calmness and creativity, right? I mean, I feel like some new thoughts come to me, which normally don't happen, right? So I'm the annual pass bearer of California state parks. And my reason is I go to Crystal Cove State Park and Beach, which is right near Newport Beach area. And you'll find me there at least once a week, if not more. So I'm like, I just feel like that's the place for me. I just go there, meander around, take my time, get lost, and then come back home.
Well, the most interesting thing to me is about creativity and about this connection, because that is the energy of creativity moving through you. And so I talk about there's 4 cornerstones of life. There's your health, which you have to have. I mean, not much happens if you don't have your health. Your wealth, which is your medium of exchange, how you're able to bring money into your life. Your love, so health, wealth, love, and that's all your relationships, okay? And the 4th is your self-expression. And that's what's often missing in successful people's lives. They've got the health, they've got wealth, they may even have love, but then they say, well, something's missing. And that's that creativity, that self-expression, which is a healing agent. And from my point of view, one of the things I'd love to happen in the country for the kids, young people, is creative art centers where all types of arts are set up. When Black Lives Matter was happening and all this money was going to them, think, oh, good, maybe they're going to put something in the communities. They're going to help the young people. And where did it go? I don't know.
I know.
So the thing is that this is something that is desperately needed to get them off the streets and to help them to have something that they find meaningful in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's not just folks off the street, Verlaine. I think what's happening is even for people who are coming, who have the advantages, if you may, who have even a good upbringing, good family life, it is much harder even for regular folks, if I may use that word, to get that focus, right? I think a lot of us are running around without knowing what is that way, what is that purpose, what is that I need to be doing.
What are their values? What are their talents? What are their abilities? The teachers don't know, the kids don't know, the parents don't know. And that's part of my beginning of my book, where you actually have different questionnaires and you look at okay, what are my values now? What is it that I can accomplish? And that's what we need out in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, there are many quizzes that we give, that say, oh, you've got this kind of personality, you've got that. Who are you in your heart?
What is the
Who do you
core?
want to express, is incredibly important. And for
that
me,
comes
I'm
to
a
the-
communicator, so that's
You're a
what, I love to do.
No, absolutely. That brings us to the next question before we get into the technique or the process. Is you just said you, right? And what is that meaning? What do you mean when you refer to various parts of you, or what is you in the core, and who are these various parts?
Okay.
And what is that purpose, right? I mean, it seems like each one of us has kind of most people think about left brain, right brain, or front brain and back brain, the different ways people think about, but there is more to the person than just you, and you has many personalities or sub-personalities. Can you share with us a little bit more on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I see these sub-personalities, first of all, you have different personalities for different events. You're one person at home, you're another person when you go for your walk, at work, you're different, many different personalities that you put on, or act, or what feels good. But what I'm talking about is sub-personalities that I call the keepers of our beliefs. And they get a belief. All right, I'm going to say one that my mother said to me too often, which was, all the good men are married or buried.
Okay.
And that really opens you up to relationships, And so that was there.
My wife has one more thing, but I'm not going to say that. She
Luckily,
says,
she got you, right? And so you've got this sub-personality that believes that's true. So what that sub-personality does is you never, or as a woman, you go out to an event or whatever, you never meet a man that isn't married, right? Or that is not such a great person. So, okay, so now there's another part over here, another sub-personality holding the belief, yes, but I want to have a wonderful relationship with a man, right? And if they're all married and buried, how am I going to get there? So the idea is to discover the parts of you that are holding you back.
Yeah.
Another one would be like part of my mother said, I'm quoting my mom now. Pardon me, Mom, she's passed away. But she said, oh, don't go outside when it's raining because you'll catch cold. Okay, so here's this one. So I go out in the rain, I catch cold. I start getting a sore throat, come on. And I went up one day, it happened so fast, like from the building to my car, that I had a sore throat. I said, come on, this is goofy. You cannot do it that fast. So that's when I do an integration. I say, what are the advantages of the cold? What are the advantages of not having a cold? Sometimes I just slam them together. That's not the way you do it, but just slam them together. You're coming together now. You use your different hands to represent the different sub-personalities. The problem is that we have a ton of beliefs that don't serve us. How do we know what we believe? By looking around us. Okay? Seeing your home, seeing your relationships, seeing what you're doing in your life. That's what you believe because you created it. Okay, if there's something missing or not working properly, then you have to say, okay, the part of me that is stopping me from having what I really like, what are you doing for me? And they always, even if they're trying to kill you, think they're doing something for you.
I see.
Even if they're affecting your health or your love life, you've never, you haven't got the love life you've had, 4 divorces and you're heading to the next one. All of that adds up to these sub-personalities. And once you understand it and you integrate them, I like to talk about it in terms if you're captain of your ship, master of your fate. That's what we like to think, right?
Yep.
Right? But it's a pirate ship and the crew is planning mutiny.
Oh, the crew is the different personalities of your mind. I see. It's a good way.
Yeah, they've all got their own idea of where you should go, what you should do.
You all over the
and
place.
down in the hole is somebody who, if he could get loose or she could get loose, they would take you on a credit card tour of the world.
been there. Only to come back and say, whoa.
Yeah, like, oh, no. That's
Perpetually
the
in debt.
idea.
I call it PID, perpetually in debt.
Yes. So that's why it's so
So
important, because you got to
that
stop the mutiny, and you can't throw them off the ship. You can't.
that kind of self-awareness, Verlin, is so hard, right? I mean, it's especially when you're young. I think it happens with age or with wisdom, if you may, with more experiences. But I think it's hard to get these youngsters get into more of this awareness, that kind of step outside and look at who you are, your personality, your different sub-personalities, if you may,
Right.
and really analyze that and see what's doing what. And it's an exercise, right? It's like we do computer exercise or we do physical exercise. This is an exercise of your mind, where you are looking at you from outside looking in and saying, here is who I am. Yeah.
It's a reality exercise,
Yeah.
because you are going to see only what you believe.
True.
If different people go to the same party, right? The dentist, what is he looking at? He's examining teeth as he looks
Yeah.
at everybody. How are your teeth? And somebody does hair is looking at hairdos. Another person who designs clothes is looking at the clothes. And somebody else is an interior designer, only sees the design of the room.
True.
They don't see any of the people, right? So that's that perspective, that view. So if you are thinking about the danger, like I was when I got stabbed, which was a long time ago, 1971, but I could still be a victim, right?
Sure.
But by opening and integrating, that gave me the freedom to travel alone again and take care. I'm very cautious and don't particularly like going under buildings to park, and I look around and so forth.
I don't like either.
It's not the best place, So that's why I'm so excited about it, because I see so many people losing it. They're this jumble of craziness that's going on in their heads, attacking them, telling them that they're no good, telling that the people around them are no good. We can't live in that kind of an inner and outer environment.
No, it's fascinating. What I'm going to not do today is actually have you go over the integration technique. I think we will do that in a larger group, unless you feel like we should do it. I mean, I know you said it takes 5 to 10 minutes, but what I would like to learn more is what is that technique, the infusion integration process that you've developed, and ultimately, there is a whole concept of, you mentioned there are 4 areas in there. There is the health, there is the wealth, there is the love of relationships, and then the self-expression. So maybe in the spirit of time, maybe let's go into one of them, a quick, if you may, an overview. And for me and Clifford, I mean, actually it's good. We'll enjoy this, the two of us, and Piyush is here. So
we'll just do it with you.
Let's pick one area. Let's say, I think relationships is something we all love, right? Because it's something, one of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett, a billionaire, of course. And sometimes I feel like, when you've got your billions, do you say this quotes now, or did you say it when you didn't have your? So it's a separate thought. But he says his definition of success is a lot about, when he is at his age now, is how much people love him back. So he has a lot of love for his family, for his friends, but he looks at success as, when they return the love, when I feel being loved. So it's about relationship. Then I feel like, I've done something well in my life. I feel successful. So maybe we go into love or relationship as a thought today.
Yeah, definitely.
For the integration technique. Maybe you can share some of the examples there.
Okay, let's pretend that you don't have a great relationship. Okay. Or
sure.
Before you had a good relationship.
Yeah.
And what did you think about relationships before you had a good one? What would you say?
It's hard. They're short term. The other person doesn't know what I want to do, and There's a lot
Okay.
of list on. There's a lot on that list.
All right, let's
It's
put
like,
that,
why
let's
can't we
make
do
that.
things that I also enjoy once in a while?
Well, this is, you're good, you're good. Let's check one hand, make one hand be the
Clifford, would
part
you
of you.
agree?
Make one hand the single guy, okay? Which hand you're gonna choose? Hi.
That's
Okay,
me.
this is the part over in here. It says, well, I think I can have a loving relationship, but a long lasting one. All right. So this guy's got a lot of stuff, that you're not, now what we normally do, or I normally do, is I write down what those, what are the advantages of being single? Okay.
Sure.
So you're free, right? Make your own decisions.
Yep.
What else?
You can do whatever. Yeah, make your own decisions. Can have your own lifestyle. Not be bounded by somebody else's thoughts.
Yeah, right.
That's a big one.
And you don't have to worry about it ending.
Yeah, exactly.
No worries about ending because you haven't started.
Yeah. Responsibility also, part of it is, I guess you can be somewhat irresponsible as a single, somewhat within reason. I guess.
A lot of
When
reasons.
yeah. When
So
you're
what are the
together, you have a responsibility now, right? For the other person.
responsibility, no responsibility. Yeah,
responsibility.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to the part of you that would like to have a loving relationship, a long-lasting loving relationship.
Common sense of, I guess, purpose, or what makes a good relationship in the sense, are you saying what are the positives there, or?
Yeah, I'm positive about having a long-term relationship.
A great companion, a great friend, someone you can speak your mind without, without that person, a good listener, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone to go out and have fun with, as opposed to trying to find somebody new every time. So,
So how about you? That's good.
Comfortable, right? And that,
Yeah,
sense,
comfortable
you know,
and like a confident too. Someone you can
confidence,
talk to. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
there's a lot of positives. Maybe someone you can argue with at times, but I don't know if there's a positive or negative.
Yeah.
Discuss. You can discuss with them, right?
Discuss is the word. There you go.
All right, so we're
I
making.
would add,
Cliff.
You're good. You've got a
I
lot of
would
good
add
answers.
that you have someone that loves you for who you truly are.
That's good. Yeah.
You're good and bad and ugly.
Clifford, that's the holy grail, my friend. That would be the ideal answer. Yes.
All right. Because we're making this fast,
Yeah.
hold up your two hands so I can see them. Okay, no, just down here. Down here is okay.
Okay.
Looking at each other. All right, so now the part of you that was the free guy who was the bon vivant, right? You're going to ask him right now, would it be okay with you if you had all the advantages that you like to think you have, make your own decisions, do what you want and so forth, and you could have a loving relationship? Would you be able to change your behavior and let yourself have a loving relationship? Would that be okay with you? Obviously it was okay. Don't put them together yet.
Friction.
Oh my, that does happen a lot, I gotta tell you.
I'm trying to close them.
Are you asking something? Oh, you're doing it, Michael. Okay, good. All right, close your eyes for a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to ask the fellow who has been free and easygoing and doing what he wants to go to the creative part of your being. You can imagine that as a beautiful room filled with the computers that know the answer to all the questions in the universe.
Okay.
We're going to ask for 3 ways that you can still be free in many ways, make your decisions, do what you want, not be feel bounded. You don't have to have a lot of worries and a lot of responsibility. And you can still be in a long-term loving relationship. Would you be willing? No, I'm not asking if you're willing. We're going to ask for 3 ways for that to happen. And you don't have to know what those 3 ways are. You're just going to start acting differently, feeling differently. Okay. So we ask right now that the two hands, as you see yourself, the guy that was free, carefree, and the one that is married and in a loving relationship, to slowly bring the two hands together until they're touching. Intertwine the fingers. And as if they are hugging each other, they're really kind of making peace, and you bring them up to your heart. And we like to see these two realizing that they can work together and that they can have, you can have this freedom, this feeling of freedom, and be in a loving relationship, because it doesn't have to feel like you're in prison. It can feel like it's just so wonderful to be with someone you care about, that you can have a great companion and friend and a good listener, and you can have great times together and the comfort and be able to confide in them, and they love you for who you are. So beautiful. So I'd like to see all parts of you sending them love and healing, and your higher self, that greater aspect of who you really are, sending love and healing to the two in the center and all to all parts of your being. I'd like to see the two of them walking together, going up a hillside, sitting down on a bench overlooking beautiful trees. They're flowering, and flowers, and there's sheep down by the stream. It's just a beautiful setting. And they're going to talk about how they're going to work together. Even though you've been in a loving relationship, you're going to have all that feeling of being that single guy also. That is so fun. Not that you're going to be going off with other women, but you can apply all that energy into the loving relationship you have now. We thank these two for sharing in consciousness, and we thank you.
It's powerful. That does open some thoughts, you're right. It's the mind has the power, it can change things. I think you just step out, as you said, and look at both sides.
Yes.
And say what side you can still, where is it that you have to give some, you have to get some, and find the right balance, right? I think at the end of the day, it's all about having the right balance.
Yeah, and just to add to that, when I did the NLP on the idea of being stabbing in the parking garage, I was able to see, because he asked, what was the advantages of that? What happened out of that? And while I moved back to Carmel, my boyfriend came back from San Francisco. He had left to go do a job up there. And all the things in my life shifted into things that fit me better. So the desires of my heart. And it was really hard for me to say, but that was, and he said, and you will no longer have to make changes through a violent action, right? You don't have to go through that kind of thing anymore. You just will be able to make changes easily. And that's what I love helping people with, that it's just amazing how it changes. I've helped people with cancer. One girl who was completely paralyzed. I mean, it's fascinating to experience it, because they have reasons that they think they're helping the person. You see?
Totally. So I have one more question for you before we let you go, Merlin and Clifford. Maybe you can also ask a question. But my last question is, and we talked about so many wonderful things today. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your insights, and helping us hopefully gain more intuition, if you may, right? I hope we do. I think the last question I have is, how does this power of wholeness that we experience, some of it today, we want to transform that or leverage that into the law of attraction, right? Because we all want to champion change, we want to transform, positive change, of course, and help our communities, do better. Hopefully we inspire them to be better versions of who they are. I mean, like what you are doing, Dr. Crawford, we would like to to inject some of that at a local level where we are. So how
Yes.
do we do that? How do we take this power of wholeness that you have shared today into and relate it to the whole law of attraction, where we can also hopefully ignite some of this ourselves locally? Yeah.
Well, when I was one of the jobs or many of the jobs that I haven't talked about is being executive director of the Chamber of Commerce in San Juan Capistrano and in Laguna Beach. And what I did in that environment was I wanted to see, I've written another book that hasn't been published called A Planetary Vision. And that energy of all these different groups, and in each of these lovely towns, there were groups that hated each other, if you can believe it, right? It was just amazing. And so I was able to bring them together. And how did it happen? By working with the leaders in each group, letting them see the advantages of working with each other. It happened also with the International Paper Company. I got that as a client to do. They were having problems with the different groups working together, and I've worked with the groups to help them see the advantages of the others, you see, and that's what makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. And just knowing that what you're thinking is going to show up. You know, if you're thinking, oh, my job is terrible today, or the society is a mess and I can't do anything. If you think that, you betcha, you're right. If you say, I am going to make some changes, I can do this, I'm going to make it happen, you can do that. And that's what I'm so have been for many years excited about doing, and helping people around the world. And I want to teach coaches, counselors, and teachers this information. So, I mean, if I have one more minute, long ago, I was asked to go speak to a third grade class. I don't remember why, but I was head of the Chamber of Commerce then in Seaside, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. And I came in this room, the teacher left, and the kids started running around the room, running over the desks, going all over the place. And excuse me, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's like they're like wild animals, right? And one little boy looked at me, and I leaned down and I said, I want to talk about magic. Somebody else heard me. Pretty soon they all sat down. And I told them about how our thoughts and our words make our lives. And they were like listening so closely. So these are things that can be taught. It's just the way you teach it, right? The way you present it. And in corporations, you can do it. You can bring the parts together, bring the people together. I was with one company, they had a sales projection of what they wanted to do. And the whole big meeting. And I said, double it. And I said, oh, okay. So they doubled it. And then everybody says, well, I guess we could do that. And then I said, double it again. Now they're really grumpy and they want to, throw rocks at me. And so they put the big number up there.
Yeah.
And they got it. After a few months, the guy called me. He says, I can't believe it. New clients came in. People paid more got ordered more than they usually do. And we hit that double twice number. So it works.
Absolutely works. I think we can definitely have our US Congress use your help, Dr. Crawford.
Yes.
I think they should make you a lifetime appointee and just go have you talk to all this representatives and senators every day.
I'm ready.
Get them together, something. Anyways, Clifford, did you have any questions for Verlaine before we let her go?
First of all, thank you, Dr. Crawford. The information is very, very relative for me. But what I would like to understand in layman's terms, what does NLP stand for? And if you can describe it, where, the average person can understand.
Oh,
what it's
yes,
all
I'm
about.
sorry. I usually spell it out. It's called neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming. And it started at the University of California in Santa Cruz. I was actually at one of the first workshops that they did. And what it means, if you can get books on it and so forth there, and you can look it up online, it is fascinating because it's the idea that the way our mind works and applies to our language actually makes huge differences in
Sure.
our ability to interact with people and so forth. This was a small piece of the workshop. This guy showed us how he could hypnotize the whole group. I mean, it was fascinating. And I loved it. But that little piece of the integration technique, they didn't, I don't see anybody using it. They didn't pursue that to the length that I have, where I changed it to what I call the infusion integration technique. They
Yep.
don't call it technique now, infusion integration process. And infusion, I looked it up, I got this word came to my mind. So it seems like I should add something. And after laying on my bed, I got this word infusion and I looked it up. And in the dictionary I looked in, it said, when spirit enters form. Now, isn't that perfect when you're doing this work, that this energy comes in and actually shifts the brain and shifts your energy? So yes, NLP is something I think you'd love to learn about. And the other parts of creating, it's not resonance, but being able in a room to set, like if somebody is, like you're holding yourself like this, and I sit and we're having a conversation across our desks, and I do this too, then we're in rapport.
Mm,
We don't know it, but all this physical things that we do
interesting.
makes a difference in the way that the person picks up from us. But that's only a small part. Part was so fascinating is slow reading, that what happens is they create a loop in their mind, people that read slowly, and they may sound out the word, spell out the word, think about the word, and then it comes around, they've read the word. So
Yeah.
the idea is to get that loop closer,
Yeah.
right? And make it happen. So there's a tremendous amount of information about that.
And NLP, I guess we'll have to check that out for sure. Dr. Crawford, it has been an amazing journey with you this morning for about an hour plus. So thank you for again
Thank you.
sharing a part of your, your upbringing and your experiences, real life-changing events as you've shared so gracefully and honestly. We appreciate that, and I think we learned a lot. We will follow up with another session with you, and maybe go at length, in the infusion integration process.
Yes, I'd
Hopefully
love to do that.
we'll pick something on the work side for some of our the business owners, in next time around. And but again, many thanks for today's session. And I
Thank
personally
you.
learned a lot. I'm like, I have to now figure this out, but I know I will. But it's part
It's
of.
on it's also on my website. I have some of it. Creative Life Adventures.
Yes,
.com.
I've seen your website and the blog, and can't wait for your new book to come out. And hopefully we'll do a live event. Go and meet in person. Maybe go do it at a cafe.
Yes.
And maybe do a little book reading. So I'm sure Clifford and I will be up for it. We'll drag Piyush from Bay Area if he's up for that too. But I'm, we will see. We will figure that out. But again, thank you so much for your time today, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for attending, Clifford and Mr.
Piyush.
Malik, and the other gentleman was
Michael Woolwright
I
was
feel
there.
honored to be with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Clifford. Bye-bye. Thanks, Piyush. Bye-bye.